do this. If you own real estate in the Rocky Mountains, we're fire prone. It's not a matter if, it's a matter when it's going to happen. And you can deal with it after the fire, before the fire. Much better to do it before the fire. We've got some footage on this video that shows you, what happens when you have clusters of trees that are those ladder fuels, and how you can get in and do some spacing of trees and some clearing to give yourself some fire break. And I'm sitting here with Colton and High Country Contracting. He's based out of Sheridan, and he's been doing a lot of work on my personal property. So Colton, tell us about your background.
So I grew up in a logging family. I got loggers on both sides of my family for generations. So I grew up going to work with my dad, and feller bunchers and skidders, and just in the logging background. And then I also kind of grew up with some of the ranch life too. So I've just worked outdoors pretty much my whole life. Been outside and enjoying nature all the time.
You can tell, elevation doesn't scare him. I'm looking up a track that he brought his skid steer down, because of course we're at the toe of one of the mountains in the Bighorns, and it's pretty steep, and we've got a lot of timber that needed to be addressed, and so he's not afraid of getting up there in those places that you probably wouldn't want to get yourself, and it takes a person that has that background to do it, and Colton's got it. And our project here was, again, it was post-fire. We needed to do it before the fire. It had a lot of fuels that are down on the ground, a lot of clusters of trees that needed thinned, and so we're going to do it now. And it's been amazing, the transformation, because after that fire we had some real charcoal trees, and they're just going to be skeletons standing up there for eternity until the wind blows them down, and then we're going to have deadfall. And the way Colton does is he comes in the larger trees, he cuts them and bucks them and stacks them so that they can either be sold or hauled off or burned or whatever needs to be done there. But on the smaller stuff, he's got a mulching head, or a macerating head is what it is.
Masticating head.
Masticating head. And that pretty much mulches it down from what size down?
I've been able to get fairly large, but where it shines is probably about that 8 to 10 inch range. Yeah. And I'm able to come straight down on top of it and turns it into a nice mulch, and really eliminates the amount of fuel that's on the ground and everything.
Yeah.
And then it gives
the stumps, so you're not tripping over stumps, because it gets it pretty flush.
Yeah, I can get all the way down to the dirt with the stump. So
yeah.
It leaves just the littlest amount of tree left.
Yep. And then the other nice benefit of it is then you have all this soil that's going to regenerate, and from the mulch and the limbs that are chopped up, and so it really helps your mountain ground recover from a fire and build more of a soil base. Interestingly, how this fire came in here, it was from a back burn, and it came around down low, and it got in these pockets of timber that are just clusters of small diameter ponderosa, and it was just the way they grew up, but they were really clustered together, and they really were ladder fuels, and you could see it at the time of the fire. It would blow up in those groves, and again, I wanted to get it before the fire, but we never got to it in time, and so the fire sure got in here. And it was this area right here that's now all mulched by Colton. It was a thick grove of pure black burnt timber, and it was a real eyesore, and all it was going to do is fall over and be deadfall and be a problem for years to come. So Colton got in here with his equipment, real steep grade. He's gotten all the way up to our fence line up top, and he got all that out of here, and you can see the results. And we went through and we kept a lot of the trees. They may look dead, but those are called storch needles, and ponderosa pine do really well with fire if they can survive it. And you can see that some of them have green tops, and the orange are what they call scorched needles. And if the tree can start to reproduce some green needles, and we've seen a big change just this summer. It's been interesting to watch it from May until August. April, this was nothing but orange. All this green was just a sea of orange, and now we're seeing that green, as you can see up there. I mean, that big ponderosa over there is a perfect example. That was nothing but orange. Its trunk is pure black, and now we have green needles really coming through. So, boy, you know, some forest management sure goes a long way, because we're going to see more and more of these fires. You talk to the fire guys, and you know, fire season ended in August, and now our fires go all the way in October. In Wyoming alone in 2024, we had a rash of fires. It was a terrible fire year, burned a lot of timber, a lot of sage, a lot of grass. It was over 800,000 acres burned between northern Sheridan County, northern Campbell County, southern Powder River, southern Bighorn County. Think about that, 1 million acres.
Yeah, that's a lot of land.
A lot of land. The Elk Fire itself on the Bighorns was 98,000 acres, and it blew up. And I'm telling you, when that fire started near the Montana line, we were sitting here, and I'm like, no way is it going to get to us, you know. And I'll be darned if we didn't get a north wind, and that next morning we woke up on our back porch.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the thing. If you got to get ahead of it.
Yeah, otherwise it jeopardizes structures, and you know, there's a lot of money in the land and the real estate. That timber's valuable, you know. And if you just do a little stuff before the fire, it sure helps you on the back end of the fire. This wouldn't have turned out like it did if I had you out here before. You know, we wouldn't have lost near as much timber, and it wouldn't have had this recovery time it's going to need. And you know, I always thought about it, you know, we sell these ranches in eastern Montana, and it's a lot of timber there, and a lot of that country got burned, livestock, fences, the whole 9 yards. And you know, it's just, you can't plan enough for it. And you know, for me now doing it post fire, luckily these ponderosa seem to be coming back pretty good. So you know, at the end of the day, I think we're going to end up in good shape here after the work you do. Yeah,
I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, it's fortunate you didn't lose everything. You know, there's still going to be some nice, beautiful trees that will come back, and then it's just not going to be a complete devastation like would look like a clear cut almost. You know, you still have that. Yeah,
that top part of the mountain got it, and we had patches of that where it would have been just like a clear cut, just like the moonscape. When we got lucky and it kind of burnt in pockets, but there are places south of here, you know, that fire, once it jumped to Highway 14, I mean, it pretty much made toothpicks out of all the trees. It's just
they got really hot and just
really
burnt
hot, really
everything.
fast. Got in the crown, those ladder fuels, and it was gone.
Yeah, and I do wildland fires. You know, the last 6 years I've been going out onto wildland fires and doing the logging fuel reduction portion of it, and I've seen firsthand the areas that have been managed, and you know, the fuel reductions, I've seen those, you know, the fire still goes through there, but like I said, it does not hit it. You know, it kind of scorches a little black on the bottom of the trunks of the trees, but the fire doesn't reach up into the crowns, and it's easier to maintain. And then right across the road was a spot that hadn't been managed, and it's ugly. It had gotten torched, and it had gotten, you know, really devastated. So, you know, I've seen firsthand the pros for forest management, and being able to, like, if you get in there beforehand, it just greatly increases that help of minimizing fire.
Yeah, absolutely. And interestingly enough, on this place, and it's true all over the Rocky Mountains now, unfortunately, but especially on the base of the Bighorns, we have some invasive annual grasses that are moving in. Ventonata medusa head, cheatgrass is another one, but the Ventonata medusa is real bad. So Sheridan Weed and Pest is going to come out and spray this in September. So I wanted to get any ground disturbance done ahead of that, and Colton was just kind enough to get out here in the month of August and get this started and get it wrapped up before that happens. So that's even going to be an added benefit to it, and I appreciate that, Colton. And so your business, what all is the breadth of your business? You roads, obviously, built a nice road for us, we show in the video.
Yep, I do anything with forestry, land management, and a little bit of excavation. So anything from the fire prevention, forestry mulching, fuel reductions, kind of thinning and whatnot, to, you know, clearing fence line and
that'd be a huge help for
ditch
people.
cleaning even.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot to do with land management that I can do, and then as far as excavating, just some of the littler things like utility line ditching and for water lines and electrical and whatnot. So I know I've done a couple irrigation or water lines for some people from their wells that they got drilled to their houses, and some hydrants and stuff like that. So a little bit of everything. I try to be as broad as I can to help as many people as I can.
God bless Colton, because when he first came up here to just do the trees, we were talking about this road, and I have this big gully that comes out of the forest, and of course after a fire you have a problem with mudslides and flash floods, and he built this road and graded this down, and I'll be darned 2 days afterwards if we didn't have a big cloud burst, and you can see the residue from it, and it directed the water right where we wanted to put it. You can tell when there's pride of ownership on a place, and it only adds value to the place. It's a big investment, have responsibility to land like the land does to you, and if you treat the land right, it'll really treat you back right, and just some preventative stuff and some maintenance stuff goes a long way.
It does, and it's it's fairly cheap insurance as far as fire-wise, because it's like you get something taken care of before a fire. When a fire were to happen, it greatly decreases the impact to the land.
It does.
So you don't have near the amount of cost and damages and
or depreciation.
The
property depreciation. We were talking about that earlier when you first got on the job. These ranches were selling for 10, 20, 30 million dollars, 5 million, even 2 million. You go and have a fire run through, and doesn't matter if it's pine trees or cottonwoods or other things. The diminishment of value from that fire. You're cheap.
Yeah, compared to what damages the fire
compared
does.
to the damage that the fire does. Your customer base. So obviously private landowners like myself, you're doing this on private land. You've had some conversations with federal and state entities too. Are they also customers of yours?
Yeah. I am registered on the SAM's website, so I can do the Fed stuff. And I had bid a couple jobs up on the Buffalo side of the mountain, as far as for the county and whatnot. So yeah, I have a real wide base of customers, from private to the federal or government,
Yeah.
I even do have kind of a background in the wildland fires, so I've been out on the wildland fires, and I've seen all of it firsthand as what the benefits of doing this are. I've seen where the land hasn't been touched and hasn't been maintained, and it just is devastating to it. And right across the road is a place that was maintained, and the impact was greatly minimized. There's still a little bit of the black that climbs up the trunk and whatnot, but as far as the overall extent of the damages, it's pretty minor. And it's really nice to see.
Yeah.
And it's be even better, to have more people experience that.
It's rewarding,
realize,
and it's rewarding as a landowner.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're, these trees here, these tall trees, once they can get up high enough so that fire can't get into their crown, they're in pretty good shape. It's just all these smaller fuels that get you.
Yeah, the ladder fuels, as long as you can take care of a lot of the ladder fuels and the heavy brush and fuels that are laying on the ground, as far as down trees and just the real bushy stuff. If you take care of that and give yourself some spacing between trees, it greatly minimizes it.
Yeah, and ticks and everything else.
Ticks, and not to mention too, when you have livestock, whether it's horses or cows, it increases the grazing and the safety for the animals, so they're not tripping hazards or anything.
And habitat, actually, when you get in these thick groves of these ponderosas, there's nothing that grows on them because there's so much pine needle, and you get these clearings like this, and the deer and the elk and the other critters have some grass to forage on, and it's pretty good. absolutely.
The visibility, it increases, and so
Yeah.
you know, you can see, you know, if you like to enjoy nature, you can come out and hang out, and you can better visualize and see, you know, the wildlife coming
Right.
through.
That's right.
So-
Sometimes it's so cluttered you can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah, it improves your views and everything.
Absolutely. Look at that. That's going to turn to really nice soil. Good seed bed so the native grasses can recover, and seedlings. Yeah, you did a phenomenal job on that road, and that's another part of fire management is road cuts. You know, I've been on so many. We had over 800,000 acres in northeast and southeast, northeast Wyoming and southeast Montana burn in 2024. This is the Elk Fire. We had the Remington Fire. We had the House Fire. We had several big fires burning hundreds of thousands of acres at a time. And, you know, all those fire crews, their number one tool is a grader, a bulldozer, some way to cut a fire line to stop that fuel from going, because it's running across the ground, you know. And if you can get it stopped on the ground through a fire break like that, you know, that changes everything. That's why the back burns create a fire line. But if you can get ahead of that and cut some fire lines along your fences, you know, certain parts of your timber, for example, you know, get some separations between those groves of trees so that the fire can't jump, you know, by running on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, that just does a loaded, and that's
helps.
something you could do too. You
yeah.
meet with a landowner, walk the property with them, pick out some good spots that would beacon some good fire breaks to establish
Yep.
right at the get-go. Yeah.
And they also, you know, they're not only fire breaks, but they're also, you know,
And then they're
access
roads.
points. Yeah, you got a decent road that you can access the rest of your property. You check your fence line, make sure it's well maintained.
Yeah.
And it goes. There's several different opportunities.
Absolutely.
For it.
Fence lines to me are a no-brainer.
Oh yeah.
Because then you don't have it burning your fence, for one thing. It's a natural fire break. You don't have trees falling on your fences, and you're maintaining fences. It's just good preventative maintenance.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. So how would somebody get a hold of you?
My phone number is 307-620-1970.
And your email?
My email is High Country Contracting LLC 94 @gmail.com.
All right, we'll share that.